Okay. It's so hard to make sure. Uh-huh. Okay. So
It's not recording anymore.
yeah, it is.
There's no video though.
But no, that's the recording of the previous one. Oh, you're right. Yeah, there's no video. You're right.
I mean, you're right. Like, in order not to lie about the can being a can, you have to admit through your speech that the world is real. And all of your inclination is not to do that because things are so terrible.
No, that's an example. So for example, that things are so terrible. There's several things embedded into that. The most volatile being your own creating the world as terrible, and then your projection of that externally, falsely. Like you're
Yeah.
And so that's the how so the what the paradigm lets you do is get to freedom. It's not that you're pure. It's that you're not attached anymore. You even if you're impure, it's an external methodology for not deceiving yourself.
So, when I said that you have to lie about the can being a can, because the world is terrible, like, why would I have to create something to explain that?
Huh? Well, first of all, see, look, so another aspect, the way you said that, so you use the pronoun you. So at that level, you also project tendentiously. You distance yourself from yourself by using the second person when you're actually describing yourself.
I asked you how you would explain what I said. Which is pretty ridiculous.
See, it's... this is where, like, it's like... It's painful to observe this. And this is how the world is. It's like I have this decoder ring for everyone.
But what's odd, I knew when I was saying the world that it was wrong. Like, I knew there was something wrong about my saying it, nevertheless I said it.
Well, I'm not sure you. Yeah.
I mean, so I said it because I wouldn't know how else to explain, like...
Well, yeah. See, it's not. It's see. Well. You're addicted to the vacuum content.
I mean, that's, like an easy phrase to use to, like,
It's not a phrase.
the world. I mean, I meant that as, like, a...
It has nothing to do with phrases. As I said, like, it doesn't matter. Like, you're describing anything.
No. What I meant, the usage of the world to justify, like, why I do something. It's like, oh, I can't do better because the world is bad. That's what I meant. Like, using that kind of, like, because the world has gone to shit, therefore it is impossible for me to, like, do anything other than that. Even to the point of where my, convincing myself that things aren't real is to the extent that I can't even not lie about a can being a can.
Your whole affect faced with this is... Ugh. It's this melancholic, like, repentance.
I don't feel like I'm repenting.
Whatever. It's like, what? It's like this gloomy, like, admitting...
I don't know how else to approach it. Yeah, it is fucking gloomy. Like, I don't know how else to, like, do that.
It's just that gloominess is so thick. It's not candid.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's the gloom of, like, like, doing things you don't want to do.
No, because you're doing it right now.
Conceding. No. It's the, like, last over of having done that for so long.
But there's...
And then not seeing that things could be any other way.
And that's where, from my standpoint, there's no other time. You're doing it right now. You're juggling the gloom right now. There's no, like, before. There's no after.
Yeah, you're right. But it's not just right now. I mean, it's...
I maintain that by my, like, intervention here through this scrutiny, that can be immediately cured. Even though it's always how you've been.
Yeah, I mean, it probably could. It's like... I don't know. I mean, it's so trippy to, like, think about how the world is. Or even just, how I am, how I will be in the future. And then all of that is just built into, like, sadness, basically. Which really doesn't have any ground.
These grunts. It's so awesome, man. Having that schema of personality types is, like, really interesting. Because, like, to kind of bring them in our own like predispositions and all, but then to play with the categories themselves. Forthrightly, proudly be narcissistic, schizotypal, depressive. It's interesting because those are definitely not wielded, because they're presented as scientific. Like, what's interesting is that at Neil's time they didn't have a definition of health, but now they've included a definition of psychiatric health.
Oh, cool. I like I'll selectively. Ooh, yeah. See, I need to split them up.
This whole like looking into the camera while talking to people nearby is the perfect way for me. It's like, finally, I can look someone in the eyes. And I'm not looking at you.
Yeah.
I'm looking at myself.
I mean, I guess that's just... I guess that's what falls under the definition of narcissism.
Schizotypal personality.
I'd be
an energy of
hesitant to call it a bad thing.
Shaded areas indicate...
See, that's the whole problem with it. It's like, once you thematize this, how can you possibly find anything that's bad? If this includes, like, the most severe, like, psychopathic, schizotypal, antisocial... Like, how are you gonna? Is it like a manifestation of? I mean, this is where you read these things and like, a little like hyper rational or like.
Is that bad?
Seems like a reasonable presentation.
Well, see, the whole. Okay, so. Oh. Let me read health.
Individuals who match this large community, and they find meat. That tend to express emotion. And have generally come to terms with painful experiences from the past, finding meaning in the experiences and growing from them. Individuals who match this, they are capable of hearing and making effect.
Choose VLC.
And to have satisfying by genuine intimacy and caring. Beneath the surface, they often fear being alone, rejected, or abandoned.
That's hysteric.
This is fucking the coolest thing ever.
This prototype represents optimal personality health. Degree of match with this prototype provides a measure of adaptive psychological strengths. The more individuals match this prototype, the more they are able to engage in meaningful and mature relationships, find meaning and satisfaction in life's pursuits,
this is hell.
And make effective use of their talents.
See, this is the petty bourgeois
Individuals
ideal.
who match this prototype are capable of sustaining meaningful relationships characterized by genuine intimacy and caring. They are empathic and responsive to others' needs and feelings, and have the capacity to recognize alternative viewpoints, even when emotions are strong.
No real truth.
They have moral and ethical standards, strive to
Petty
live up
bourgeois.
to them, and tend to be conscientious and responsible. They appear comfortable in social situations, are able to assert themselves effectively and appropriately when necessary,
No extreme
tend to be
activity.
energetic and outgoing, and tend to be
Energetic
liked by
and
others.
outgoing.
They tend to have satisfying sex lives. They are psychologically insightful and able to understand themselves and others in nuanced ways.
No
They're
threat.
capable of hearing and making effective use of
gosh.
information that is emotionally
I'm
threatening,
like a perfect job
and have generally come
description.
to terms with painful
I'd rather
experiences
description
from
for a
the
perfect
past,
employee.
Right. Well,
finding
that's why they do
meaning in the
personality
experiences
assessments.
and
Oh
growing
my
from them.
god.
Individuals who match this
Jeez.
prototype tend to express emotion appropriate in quality and intensity to the situation at hand. They generally find contentment and happiness in life's activities. They find meaning and fulfillment in guiding or nurturing others, in belonging and contributing to a large community, and in the pursuit of long-term goals and ambitions.
There's no place for like actual
Individuals who match this
injustice in the
prototype are
world.
able to use their talents, abilities, and energy
Right.
effectively and productively.
Yeah.
They enjoy
People
challenges
feel
and
good.
take pleasure in
Yeah, there's
accomplishing
this like
things.
there's a
They're able to
biologically
express
emanating
themselves
health
verbally, have a sense of humor
that hasn't
and
been
tend to see
impurely
things and approach
impacted,
problems in creative ways.
so that like you could be a totally autonomous, healthy person, no matter where you are,
Note,
no
all
matter what
diagnoses
society is
fall in a
going on.
continuum of functioning.
And that
More
is that
severe
is
variants
exactly
may
the
be
parallel
regarded
of
as
the
personality
Pareto
disorders.
abstract
Less severe variants
individual.
may be regarded as
Oh.
personality styles.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter what situation you're in, what's happening to like the people around
Seems
you.
like a
that's all
reasonable
totally irrelevant.
presentation.
Wow. What matters is what you project to others. What matters is how well you fucking lie.
And appear unable to describe
I mean, you can't.
relationships and appear to have little need for human company or contact. Often
There's
seem
truth.
detached or indifferent.
There's like
I mean, what I meant by lie was like need to be able to project an image of perfection, while having no, while not needing that projection to actually be real. So what you say about how things are doesn't actually have
see
to
that's
be
not.
how they
I don't
are.
think that's true. I think that this describes someone successful under capitalism. If you're successful, these are actually true. You are empathic. You are happy. You do enjoy life.
Yeah.
So, the loser or semi-loser or non-winner under capitalism is the person who would have emotions that would be defined as disordered. But they see there's no place for like success. Like for you, according, you can't be, because you are not as successful as someone else, cannot determine that you are to that extent personality disordered. That violates the science. You can't correlate. Psychological health cannot be dependent upon income, or that would violate the limits of the scientific apparatus of how people understand psychology.
Yeah.
So and the reason that is because psychology, as we conceive of it and ourselves and as the sciences practice, is inextricably built into this.
So, so in this health definition, it's like there's a very strong, like, kind of disciplinary effect of not criticizing.
No.
I mean, that's unstated, but it's still present.
How so?
Because if you're healthy, you can't be angry. You can't have decisive views.
Well, it
about
says you have
this or that.
appropriate responses. So there's certainly an appropriate place for anger.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, there's a...
This is where I would not do what you're doing, where you're so sure, like, you're above this. You're, like, so sure that, like, oh yeah, I know it's true. And that's where, like, this is how, like, I mean, I exposed the whole thing with my like little commentary through the health thing, but I can only do that because of everything. Like, you can only get an edge on that if you know, so
Yeah, and then I guess I just like took how confident you were, and then like.
well, that's legitimate. It's just that this is the whole can problem. Like, that is legitimate. It's just like, what's a bigger problem than? Well, I guess the more frame issue is, to whom are you speaking? Because you're not teaching me anything. But that's the problem, that no one teaches me anything. Like, so, and how are people to... What are they doing? You know, I mean, that's... My standpoint is, like, everyone is just emanating their folly. Everywhere. Always. Irredeemably. Some people learn a little here, uselessly. Doesn't matter. It won't cohere. It won't last. They're so wrong.
You're right.
You know, and then so it's my question. It's like, I mean, it makes sense to me why I was so confused and so desperately. So, the presence of other people, to me, is it allows me to wield group certainty against others' limitations. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's reasonable.
then I make the best of whatever situation I'm in. But yeah, I mean, it does leave this, like, open wound, man. Yeah, and that's exactly the question of, like, how you're supposed to dispose yourself to people who have corrupt frameworks. Which was in the center of the Diamonds from the Hands of the Gods. As I was reading from yesterday. But this is where, like, even attempting to explain this, like, I really don't. Like, this is where, like, who am I talking to? I'm talking to myself. Because you can't even understand.
It's not true.
Oh, it's not even there. Did I download it now? Ugh. She's about to explain. Oh my god. La ba ba da ba 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 da ba ba. Yeah, seriously.
Jeez. I mean, that's a lot to swallow.
Da da ba 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 ba.
So do you really think that everyone you meet is wrong?
That question betrays the added peril of arming people with insight into their own folly. See, and it's like a statement like that you cannot understand unless I explain it to you. Unless you want to try it.
I can't understand the statement that I made, or the statement that I made demonstrates
No.
what I can't understand.
Well, there you go. There's the. You don't even know what I'm talking about.
It's true.
It's interesting. That's the schizotypal personality. But. That is wild. But anyway, in the middle of the diamonds, it says, what do you do when the only possible work out well for all solution to the problems of the world turns out to also be an alarming and piercing personal insult to all those who are attempting to be successful in it? In this case, you.
I mean, that's okay.
That's not an answer. He says, what do you do? What do I do?
I mean, it's it's okay to insult me. Obviously, including me.
Yeah, well. Yeah, no,
I mean, that putting that question, at the center, makes a lot of sense because, like, the fact that it, because if anyone else really had, an idea that they thought mattered and that other people were wrong about, most likely I think they would just give up on the answer, because everyone disagrees with it. So it becomes extremely uncomfortable to sustain. So the fact that is central, it kind of highlights like what is, at fault, which would be, I guess, like deactivation, like things not mattering.
you again demonstrate your quite good understanding of what is going on.
I mean, I have to really think about it. It's
But
not like
it's like it's funny. These are for internal use only.
yes. Yes. Its own broadcast. Yeah, I mean, because what matters is what other people think matters. What matters is not what you think matters. That gets beaten out of you early on. So, I mean, even to start there, of like,
This would be cool.
it matters. The thing that matters most is what also happens to be, what other people so dislike. Yeah, and I mean, and it also really questions the non-lying, because I mean, because so much of like sociality, depends on giving up what you think matters and then just doing what other people think matters.
I guess my response to that would be what you think matters doesn't.
I mean, I meant that not so much in relation to specific
Right.
topics, but more of like,
Even though, then you're not concerned about that. That you're more concerned about others.
that's a good point. But I meant that more broadly, and like, when you think something matters, you usually have to just give that up. Unless you think it really matters, and then you just have to not be around people who think that it doesn't matter. How could there be a solution to that? A real one? Not possible.
Huh? Oh, good. Doubt is a much healthier attitude. That's the miracle.
That you, at the level of the view, you remove the underpinnings for wrong views. And then it's a matter of purification, to put it
In that terminology.
But so it wouldn't just be like, but you'd need to have like, okay, so alter the view and then purify. So have a clear idea, have a like set of, ways to think of things and then like follow them, basically.
Yeah. Basically. I mean, it's like observe your own self through it, either prospectively or retrospectively. Like, it's not really to follow at the level of action. It's analysis. So if you catch yourself using the analytical framework, then you can be astonished at your own folly. And then if before you act, you stop short, then you might be different. But when you're being, you're not following anything. You're just true.
Sounds good.
You sound very sad when you say it.
Because I'm facing, like, I don't know, fucking existence, reality, like, the way things are. Just very deadening. But I guess what's most deadening is, like, you're fucking right about the frameworks, like, being like rubbing shoulders, so to speak, with like these frameworks that like are wrong or like don't seem appropriate or are shit. God, and then like swimming through, the sea of like, I don't know, obligations or
Yeah, the obligations one is the main trip. Because you have an inner sense of what you're not allowed to settle into. You anticipate the angst it will cause you.
Do you mean me or?
The person who is
Yeah.
gaining the view.
Yeah.
And hear you, yeah. That's the main problem. The presence in anticipatory concoction of unprincipled protection figures and dynamics.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's the one that has there's no like easy way out of that. You can't like think your way out of it. There's nothing to know. They're real. It's like material. What the fuck?
It's funny to hear you specify it so kind of clearly like that because, my like kind of vague dread has no beginning nor end. It's really this like not knowing, not being able to name, like deep like morass of, I don't know, non-existence kind of. It's like fear of acting, I guess is a good way of putting it. I feel like fear of acting, fear of owning, fear of like kind of thinking for myself. Yeah.
I'm almost finished.
It's really true. I mean, it's not even like... I realized when we were hanging out with Alejandro that, like, I've just been so afraid of other people. I've been, like, just afraid of humans for a very long time. So just to, like, spend time with humans and not be afraid of them is, like, kind of a success. In, like, a real way.
La basarabais yam.
I say we order pizza.
We could order pizza.
We should order pizza. Yeah, so that sounds great.
Why don't we just order it over at Giordano's and I'll pick up? Or
Yeah, it'd be good. Save the delivery fee. And then you can go walk. That sounds good to me. I don't want to work anymore. I can't quit my job. Oh, that's my computer.
That is not a good idea.